Jasmine has some questions to ask people, but at the same time, she's also responding to a question within her own question. And as you can see here, she starts off by saying, wait a minute, why are people asking me about where Matilda is during the filming of the first two episodes of Happily Ever After? And honestly, I was sitting there thinking, wait, people are really asking her that question? And then I was like, Jasmine's response is a very good question, but let's get into why. So, of course, in the next one, she says those happily ever after episodes were filmed right after The Last Resort and almost 9 months before The Last Resort tell all. Why are people not following up? Well, Jasmine goes on to say, at that point, Matilda was still in Matt's body. I was not pregnant at all, which I thought personally was nothing but common sense. So the fact that some people are that to actually ask the question is quite hilarious to me, to be honest with you. But then also on top of that, this is where she begins to pretty much take jabs at Gino. And to be fair, I would say rightly so. So as you can see here, she says now, for the one saying that Gino said at the last resort, he had been alone all the time and not seen anyone because of the NDA. That's false. He chose to lie, and that's something that he definitely did. Because of course, at the tell, he made it abundantly clear that this man was out there at home alone, pretty much wondering what Jasmine was doing, blah 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 blah. When in reality, what was he doing? He was out here talking to a whole other woman. But the question is, though, was he talking to just one woman, or was he talking to more? Because remember, in the most current episode so far, Natalie has said that her and Gina have been talking for months, which clearly means that if they've been talking for months and Jasmine obviously turned up at the tell pregnant, and given the fact that she isn't pregnant at this moment in time, based on the short storyline and Gina's with Natalie, that clearly means that Gina obviously was with someone else. And he lied about it because he wanted to do what? He wanted to do what he enjoys best, and that was to play victim. So instead of, coming on the show and being honest to people, nah. The guy was absolutely moving mad because he could play victim. And then also Jasmine continued by saying, I couldn't even talk and explain anything at the tell because I was always being interrupted with insults for me and my unborn baby, which of course she's talking about the clash that she had with Rob and also some of the other guys on the stage as well. Now, she continues here by saying there's nothing more pure, nothing more perfect than the love of this little soul. Thank you, God, for her. All the hate I endured while carrying her and how painful it felt, it was all gone when I held her in my arms for the first time. I love you, which is absolutely fantastic. But here's the thing, folks. Jasmine receives a message from somebody who's obviously responding to one of her stories where this person says to Jasmine, I just noticed during this week's episode, Gino's new girl said, I've been talking to Gino for several months. And he never mentioned this situation with Jasmine. That proves he was lying exactly. Because obviously Natalie didn't even know Jasmine was still in the picture per se, and Jasmine didn't even know that Natalie was even in existence, based on the most recent episode. And of course, it continues by saying, Jasmine adds on by saying, speaking the truth isn't a smear campaign, it's setting the record straight, which to be fair, I can completely understand why she would want to set the record straight. But this is not where we stop, because remember, I said to you folks, Gino has obviously been caught speaking to one woman, but I don't believe it was just a one woman. Does anybody remember a woman called Kelly? Kelly was a woman that Gino was in a relationship literally a few months back, up until we started to expose the fact that Gino was still actively talking to other women and requesting photos from their DMs, and also, trying to request meets with them as well as also having phone calls with them. So I'm not too sure if him and Kelly have now officially broken up, but I know obviously at the time, Kelly was definitely seeing the information out there circulating, but was finding it very hard to want to move on. But from what I understand, I'm pretty sure they did break up, as we then saw Gino later on with his ex, Lindsay, okay? The Lindsay that he originally sent the pictures of Jasmine of, literally all the way back in the first season of us meeting Jasmine and Gino. But listen, folks, Jasmine did not stop here. A few days ago, Jasmine also made some posts where she exposed conversations that she had with Kelly, which also go on to further explain and expose that Gino is nothing but a liar and nothing but great at playing victim. So let's get into it. So as we can see here, this is pretty much Jasmine obviously showing a screenshot of messages with Kelly. And as you can see here, at the very beginning, it says the fame has given him the perfect platform to do this kind of stuff. And obviously there's some screenshots shared between the two ladies. And then also at the bottom here, it seems as if there's a response from Kelly where she says, "You weren't the first person to warn me about him. I really appreciate you. Something to me. I can't tell you something I am sorry for." So Kelly's obviously responding to Jasmine at the time herself in particular. But then also further on continues here by saying, well, I believe this is Jasmine, because this is Jasmine, obviously you can see, because obviously this is her name by the side. Jasmine goes, "I enjoyed that nightmare for years, honey. I don't wish it to anyone in the world. I still struggle with my body dysmorphia." And then also Kelly responds by saying, "I would not have seen it if a fan did not send it to me, which makes it even more embarrassing. I obviously am who I say I am, and was 1 month post-op when I met him. Okay, I thought the narrative might have been completely switched, and I feel terrible. So many things make sense now." I bear this in mind. Literally, this is a woman that Gino was with obviously several months ago. Now, some people are saying that they believe that there was a crossover between Natalie and Kelly, basically saying that Gino was potentially dating both women pretty much around at the same time, or at least before the things ended with Natalie. He was definitely in communication with Kelly at that time. But of course, these are things that are just nothing but hearsay. But either way, though, this is still further proof that Gino is somebody that just likes to lie about his actions, just because he wants to be the babyface and he wants everybody to believe that Jasmine is the heel. But nonetheless, though, we continue here where Jasmine does say, first of all, open bracket, "and I learned this lesson the hard way. You can never change your appearance for anyone." I guess this is obviously them two talking about their surgeries to want to look better for their men, or to want to look better for something that involves external reasons rather than internal reasons. And then also Kelly comes in and says, "He has not spoken to me at all today, and I imagine it's because he's afraid to confront this, LOL. You are absolutely right. I do have a question, and this will stay between you and I. What kind of things did he say to you about your body, if you don't mind?" I'm pretty sure he's going to say, "if you don't mind me asking," which, to be fair, is quite an interesting question, because that means clearly there are times when Gina has obviously said certain things to Kelly about her body that's obviously made her feel icky, and therefore she's asking Jasmine, therefore she knows that. So therefore I guess they can both relate to how they've both been treated by Gino. But nonetheless, though, it continues here by saying, "Yes, he definitely appears that way. I thought that maybe he needed time to heal from his separation from you, but I think I'm starting to think that this is who he really is." Lady, this is exactly who he is. But at the end of the day, for her to still want to indulge with Gino just because she thinks he's going through like a healing process because of his celebration with Jasmine, like, that's still a good enough reason for you to not want to mess with him. Because why would you want to be around somebody or trying to have a relationship with somebody who's still thinking about their freaking ex? That doesn't make sense. But listen, I know it's a common thing for a lot of people to jump from one relationship to another relationship because they don't want to heal from the previous one. They just want to keep that feeling of knowing that they still have someone in their life that wants them. It's a form of validation, isn't it? Is it healthy? Well, the answer could be subjective. I say for some of us, it's not a healthy thing because we are still going to go into that relationship with the trauma of somebody else, and we're going to treat that person based on how the other person treated us, rather than going into a relationship knowing that we've healed, knowing that we've understood what went wrong, and knowing that we now know what we can do better in the new relationship. And most importantly, we don't project an ex's behavior onto our new one. So realistically, go into another relationship after another relationship before you've healed, for 100% is not a good idea. But for some people, bouncing from one relationship to another does work. But usually that probably means that both people in that relationship are both probably broken and neither one have actually healed from their past. But nonetheless, though, we continue here where Jasmine says, "He makes you feel like no one will ever love you as he does. And once he has you, the nightmare starts." Oh boy, trapped. And then also continues here by saying, "Kelly, he was texting multiple women when he was married to me. Exactly the same he's doing to you," which again goes back to what I was saying before earlier on this year. I definitely made some videos regarding other women speaking to Gino whilst he was in a relationship with Kelly. Okay, and obviously this is something that Jasmine has kind of alluded to in the past, but obviously right now it is coming out in full whack. And then Kelly comes in and says, "I'm so sorry, Jasmine. I'm so sorry this all happened to you. Wow, really? How did you find out?" Oh boy, it's getting hot in here. Now, here's the thing though, obviously with the screenshot stuff in particular, obviously Jasmine just showing the ones that I guess matters the most. But obviously here, as you can see, Jasmine responds by saying, "So my dear, I hope you take your time to process all this." And then Kelly says, "It's awful," with a sad emoji. "I really treated him well, and the fact that he won't even do the courtesy of responding says it all. I told him I'd be willing to talk to him about it if he wanted to." And then open bracket, "Not that it would change anything," close bracket. but apparently he doesn't even care enough. I mean, the reality is Gino somebody that actually cares ever anyway? That is the real question itself in particular. And if you ask me, I'm gonna say no. But anyway, Jasmine comes in and says, I'm sorry to hear that he might be taking the time to come good with fake excuses, probably. He even writes things down. He's very meditative. I probably said that wrong, but nonetheless, though. She continues by saying, stay strong here whenever you need to vent. Even if you break with him or not, my friendship to you is unconditional, and trust me, I know how you're feeling right now. Sending you a virtual hug, honey. You're gorgeous. Don't settle for less. Time is very priceless. Don't waste it on unworthy people. Look at Jasmine coming out with all these little nice comments and that. I really hope that these comments that Jasmine's is giving out are comments that she's looking to, role play to herself. Okay, because there's only people that can say the right things. Other people, when it comes to, obviously posting information for themselves, they're not so good at it. Now, as you can see here, this conversation here further on goes. Hold on a minute. I just want to double check something real quick. Okay, so this conversation here is now with a new person called Anna Rose. This is somebody that I haven't actually ever come across per se, but Jasmine obviously has reached out to Anna by saying, "Hi Anna, I hope you're having a great day. My friend Mike told me it was urgently for me to to communicate with you. I wonder what it is about and how can I help you?" She goes, "Hello Jasmine, the last thing I want is to upset anyone, especially knowing I've always loved you on the show, but Gino kept reaching out to me after I messaged a few people just responding to the show, but then it turned into little more than that, and basically he wanted to come spend a weekend with me on a more personal level. Am I surprised? No. And flirted a lot. My apologies, and flirted a lot. I did put it off because I said I don't believe you and Jasmine are broken up. So this is obviously showing another communication with somebody else out here, obviously proving that Gino is nothing but a player, scumbag, however you want to name it. And then also here, this person, not too sure what their name is, but this is obviously another person because as you can see, the picture is different on this person as well. And well, Alexis, I guess it is. But this person comes in responding to one post, I guess, that Jasmine had put down. And she said, Jasmine, I wanted to come forward, but your husband has reached out to me as well. I didn't know if it was my place, but I respect you so much. I wanted to let you know I'm sorry, sweetheart. I know your heart must feel heavy, but you truly deserve the world and the heavens. You know, the crazy thing is, Jasmine, I wanted to come forward, but your husband has reached out to me as well. I didn't know if it was my place. That is crazy. So you wait for someone else to come forward for you to then come forward? Like, listen, you can't say you didn't come forward because you didn't know it was your place. Like, if you're gonna come forward, you come forward. You don't wait for someone else to do it first and then you do it. You know what I mean? Like, come on now. But anyway, people are the way they are. And then Jasmine responds by saying, "Hi Alexis. He did. Oh my God, when?" And then also this person says, "He let me find the texts. This was a while ago. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry, Jasmine. Like I said, you deserve so much better." And she goes, "It's okay, baby. I'm glad you texted me." Obviously, this is where the conversation ended. This is where all the screenshots ended that Jasmine had posted on her socials. But nonetheless, though, ladies and gentlemen, this is all the information that you have in front of you here. It is entirely up to you what you want to do with it. Do you want to believe what Jasmine is saying, or do you want to say, "Oh no, this is all a bunch of BS, blah, 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 blah. Gino is a saint." Let me know your thoughts in the comment section, yourself in particular, and then we can talk about it. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and of course, peace.